Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you 7 minutes late in the Extreme Studios in the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. From the great Midwest, I have one RDV. And RDV, tonight we're going back to a show that it's been quite some time since we've talked about. That would be Tulsa King with our boy, Mr. Rocky Balboa himself. You know who that guy is.
Sylvester Stallone.
The guy who wants to move it to Miami. And I always thought that would be great. That's one of the last things I remember saying about it. We're doing season 2, episode 1. What's your initial take on this episode?
Honestly, you had told me that was good. You really enjoyed it, and I was like, so that really piqued up my interest. Because usually when it comes back to a show, it's been a while. I feel like it hasn't been 2 years for this, has it been? At least about a year.
It feels like it.
Yeah. So I was kind of at the point of like, if they decided to wait a little longer and release then, I wouldn't really bother. But now, as they released it, I watched this first episode. I got Brad back in the groove as soon as the first 5 minutes. We even get an introduction of a new character on here too. Everyone, it just flows. Everything that's going on with these characters, I'm just loving it, man. It's a very interesting show, but a mobster in Tulsa, and it's Stallone. On paper, that sounds ridiculous.
It does, doesn't it?
It sounds like I'm watching Expendables as a TV series.
Now, I had tried myself watching some of those Tyler Sheridan shows, and it just wasn't doing it for me. And I appreciate what he was doing, but it was taking me too long to get
Yellowstone.
Invested into it, right? And I think that here, the one thing you said about everything flowing here works well, because in our recent review of a show that's been about 2 years, The Old Man, with Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow, it's done very well, but I had gotten past the point of me caring about because it had been so long between drops, right? And I was wondering, how would I feel about this Tulsa King? Because as we left off at the end of season 1, he's been arrested. They've got the casino. They had the big graphic fight there. There's been some interesting scenes and all that. And, there's possibly a couple of romances going on, maybe not, who knows, female stuff. So it's interesting, but part of me is like, it was okay. It was nice. But again, Stallone, so I'm watching it, and I agree with you 100%. As much as things were done well in The Old Man this first season, the episode 1 of this second season, I should say, I think it was done better in this one, because you're right. We get a very simple introduction to a guy. We get a couple things I'll simply define as heterosexual Zoolander, because we get this big suit scene going on in here, right? We get developments, and it brings you back to how quickly things are going on here, good, bad, and otherwise. The recap was tremendous.
It was great, yeah. So basically, a little small recap of the episode is that he got arrested, and now he's facing federal prison, and he's gonna post bond himself, but then his daughter decides to raise the $3 million bond against his wishes, and so basically he gets out, he talks to the guys, and then you get to see him basically hanging out with what's his name? Willie, I think his name is, or Jay Will's character. And they're just driving around. The feds are basically tailgating him. They lose him the first time. The second time, he decides to stop. They get out, and they basically like, stay away from the federal agent chick, the one that and he's like, what? So he ends up going to her place, when she shows up, and he says like, it's like, you think I'm that I'm gonna hurt you? He's like, in all my years, like, I trust you the most, I don't trust anybody. Yeah, I felt something, and I love how he kind of just talks to her, sets her straight. I'm not gonna kill you. I have no desire to do that. And then after that, they have, he's like, you said you got used by your own people. You should be angry, and so he leaves, goes back in the car, pulls a revolver out of his pockets, puts it in the glove box. The driver's like, what? It's like, no, dude. It's like, yeah, but he's like, dude, you're crazy. I've seen you. You bash a guy's face, early. Like, it is like a little bit mad, and they both laugh. The other recap is that Dana Delany, he goes to see her again at the horse ranch. And then the girl attending the horse, I believe, is one of Stallone's daughters.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I forget which one he is. Three of them.
She was the one, I think, serving him coffee when he was getting ready.
For the first season, yes. Dana Delany basically invites him to a banquet place or a fundraiser and it's run by the guy who has control of all the weed business in Oklahoma. So that's why they're going. They send them out to go get the suits. They get sharp dressed men as they're all trying different things. Garrett Hedlund's character is just awesome here. Every time I see him, I'm like, why isn't this guy in more stuff? He's awesome.
The bartender?
Yeah, the bartender, yes.
He's a good looking guy.
Yeah.
And he has a look, right, doesn't he?
Yes. So that's going on. He also went into Stallone's character goes into this weed bar. They expanded since last season. And he goes in there, and it's basically the guy who they're buying the weed from is also it's part of his group. So they're expanding the horizon, and I love it. He goes in there, he's like, well, we got a bigger insurance policy. He's like, some idiot can just basically just leave, get in a car accident, and then we're being sued. And Stallone's like, what? It's like, what happened to the responsibility? Why am I being charged for something? He's like, yeah, that's basically the Johnny Law thing. He's like, it's retarded. I love this. They make fun of the stupid laws. They break common sense of this, and they continue that from the first season. So
yes, they do.
I'm liking this.
Yes.
So, all right. So that's the whole deal. So basically, after this, they're gonna go to go to the fundraiser at this big old mansion. And it's Neal McDonough's character. Neal McDonough is no he's not a new face.
He's a heavy.
No, but he's not a new face to comes to the director of Yellowstone and Tulsa King. He was on Yellowstone for about 5 or 6 episodes. And so now he's come back in as a different character in this, and he is every time I see him, I get the same chills as I was watching when he was Damien Dark on Arrow. And say what you say about Arrow, this guy sells whatever performance he's at, whether it's on Justified, Arrow, now Tulsa King. Neal McDonough is a great character actor. So basically kind of like threatens him a little bit. It's like, he's like, Stallone, am I supposed to be afraid of you? And I know who you are and stuff. And Stallone's like, kind of like he's getting ready to hit him. I know he's getting ready to literally get him to punch and beat the shit out of him. But he checks his anger and he says, yeah, you are. So then he leaves. Dan Delane's like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, we had a nice talk, but I got prior engagements. I had to go, So they leave. She obviously goes to go talk to him because she runs into the room where right. McDonald is. Yeah. But then, so he leaves on, and it's just like, so we got Neal McDonough as a new character and a new heavy on the show. But not only that, we have another heavy that's coming on, Frank Grillo. Grillo is called up by Neal McDonough. Yeah. He's Cal. Yeah. But Neal McDonough's character. And he says, like, why is the whatever is in LA, whatever boys, why are they in your I thought this was your territory, and Frank Grillo is like, oh, he basically says at the end, I'll handle it. But the other thing that's going on here in this show is we got Chicky, the guy from I believe he's from The Shield, isn't he?
I don't know what he's from.
The Wire,
something.
The Wire.
He's the one where he did a great little thing at the end of season 1 where not only did he kill his father, drowning him, he then shaves his head, and you're like, okay, this is something I got to pay attention to now. Because at first I was kind of like, it almost seemed like a caricature, but you see that growth in his evilness.
It's great because so we know from first season he killed his father. He even gave a recap, him holding his father under the water, and everybody's paying respects. But there's talk is that none of the other families respect them. There's distrust. And he's clearly not liking it because he wants to be the big man, but now it's all falling apart. And it's all because, well, Manfredi, Stallone's character, left infected, and he also lost his other guy, the one with Stallone. And so he's kind of like he's pissed. So this guy's telling him, well, the guy comes in, he's like, hey, don't worry, Chicky, I'll smooth this over. Your father was we normally don't get to leave this life, in a good way. Your father went peacefully in the bathtub, and we know that's not true. But so he says, I'll go smooth things over, talk to the families, don't worry about it, And at the end of the episode, he's calling up Joe. I think the guy's name is the actor's name is, or in the show. He's a guy defected with Stallone's character, and he says like, "Oh, I got your buddy here." He's like, why are you calling on Carl's phone? Whatever. And he's like, "Oh, he wanted me to call you." It's like, And then he's like, say hello, Carl, and he shoots him in the head over the phone, and he's just like, that guy. Solid reminder: this guy is not going anywhere. In case you forgot about the last season when he killed his father, this guy wants revenge against Stallone character, and so it is just like ramping up. So Stallone's now, he got rid of the biker guys, the Nazi biker guys, neo-Nazi guys. And now
the Forgettables, I think was the name of their band.
Whatever.
That's the other one, the whatevers.
So Stallone just got rid of those guys, and now he's got another group coming after him now. And just I love this because when you're in this life, it never goes right in real life. I don't care what he says. Hollywood just to sell it. This is the shitty thing, and I love how. Because Stallone's doing writing on this too as well. He's got a writing credit in this for this episode, and it makes sense because Stallone's a good writer, and he's not going to do anything that's kind of like they wouldn't be realistic. This is kind of realistic what he's doing down there. The feds are on to him, but they don't know shit. They only know what they think they know, and he's still got a trial date when he goes to jail for I guess
you're right. They've done a lot as far as setting everything up, and it very quickly pulls you into where you're seeing what's going on, and they're just nudging everybody along at just enough of a pace for you to go, okay, I can see this. I cannot think of this as being important. Oh, I'm reminded of Chicky at the end that's a big deal too. So It's good. It allows you to follow it if you're watching and spend some time off, right?
Yep.
Some of the things that I thought I wanted to point out that I thought was interesting is kind of going back to the beginning when he lands in jail. This is one of the things that this show does good that you don't always get when you're watching other things. He goes in there and, some dude's eyeball him like, man, if you're staring at me, I'm going to knock you the fuck out, kind of thing. And so he's going to knock his clock off. But you're always going to get like a big speech about how something is and all that. A human behavior description is what I like to say. And he does this, right? But while this is escalating, there's like a B subplot in that same cell where a couple people are sitting there. But you got this dopey middle-aged white dude sitting there. Looks like he's gotten hit by the dude or whatever. This dude's name's Harlan. And they're having a quick aside or whatever like that. And he just introduced himself. And he's like, hey, what are you in here for? And he talks about, I had a windmill farm, but I gambled my stuff away. The guy's a strong character. And he says, I get subsidies from the government. So you can see where the light bulb goes on his head. And that becomes a part of the thing. Because you're right. When it was cool because they're playing Inagata DeVita when they're seeing the downtown news store where they're selling the pot at the front. And so Bodie, who's kind of an interesting character, he's like explaining all the lawsuits and stuff. So that was what you'd mentioned. But it's interesting because you get reminded, hey, the one chick that was on their team that he's like, hey, you look really confident, and he's like, yeah, he promoted to me, blah, blah, blah. And they went upscale. And he's like, and they're showing you all the stuff that if you're a connoisseur, like our connoisseur, a patron saint, edible brewer would describe for us, they bring out like the chessboard, right? And the two different colored chess pieces are all like edible jello shots or whatever it is, and all these different things. And so it's kind of funny in its own way. And he's like, people pay to play chess and get high. And he's like, they're like, yep. Say, man, oh man. So it's kind of making fun of it, but not. It's just, but that's what people do. But I think one of the best scenes in here, and one I thought that could lead to something, and I don't know Tyler Sheridan well enough to know if this is going to happen, is to point when you mentioned he goes and he sees, what's her name? Stacy, the one he had a relationship with, the one that's the ATF agent. He basically lets her know, hey, look, I don't blame you for anything, but you got played. And, there's nothing could ever happen between us because of the way our lives are. But I had felt something. It was nice. And that's it. He's not being syrupy. He's not trying to get her to sleep with him. He's not, you don't feel like he's fucking with her because that's what he is. I want to look in your eyes and be real. And this is what Stallone does really good. He's very assertive that way with his character sometimes. So I like the idea that you got a woman that has been played. And even though she's a little bit of a whack job in her own way, the way they met was interesting. And then found out, oh, wait a minute, you're the guy. I'm going, is that going to go somewhere? Because you have the other woman, and I forget that actress's name. She's been around for a long time. The one that owns the horse stable. The one that's setting them up with the bigwigs. I am telling you, she's got to be behind a bunch of stuff there, too. It can't just be that these dudes
it's just Cal. She's involved with Cal.
Right, but we saw her last season, right? We didn't see Cal. Cal, to your point, I don't know Arrow well at all. I know you probably covered it over on your other channel, but we've talked about Arrow and some other things where other people have roles. This guy, when he meets Stallone, the whole episode is going to rest on how these two interact. And the guy does a great job. He's not intimidated. He's smart. He's, I know everything about you. It's kind of a pissing contest, but here's the thing. Dwight loses the battle because he's the one that's not prepared with information. He's the one that's like, yeah, you should be afraid of me. So it's like this guy has an edge on him, and Dwight knows you can't. So you get that sense that him and his band have to figure this out. And between him, the judgment, all these different things he has to juggle. That's what's interesting.
Definitely. Yeah, Neal McDonough's here, his character, and I gotta say though, I looked up how old he was because he looked a little frail. He's only like 58 or 57. You know,
he's a slim built dude. He's not jacked like Frank Grillo is. You know, who's on the sauce, but he doesn't blink. He's got that look on his face that means business. He delivers it.
He looks aged because the last time I saw him when he was on, I was watching him on Justified. He was on Arrow, and I guess it's been like 4, 5, or 6 years now. But it was like you can tell that it's his age is catching up to him because he used to be like the young looking guy, pretty boy. And now it's catching up to him a little bit, but he's still a guy you don't. Like I said, his character, the seriousness he brings to this, it's just
because it's needed.
Because it is needed because you have Chicky, who's kind of the crazy guy, but he's also kind of like a comic relief too because he's an idiot. But this is a big heavy, and this is the kind of character that Neal McDonough always plays. He always plays. He's the boss, then he has the right hand man does his dirty work for him.
I don't even feel like he's trying, and that's the beauty of it. I go, hey, we got a heavy. I believe in him more than I believe in Chicky. Honestly, at this point, Chicky doesn't scare me. He's just a goon.
Because Neal McDonough has that look. He has with eyes. He has this serious look. He does. It's like,
yes,
I want you to do this for me. It's like, it's like
no, I agree.
Yeah, he's like, and he's like, I thought you had and he kind of busts their balls with Frank Grillo's character. He's like, hey, I thought you had this all taken care of. What the fuck? It's like yeah, he's not panicky. Like I said, on Justified was great for that. They brought in different characters. They had one guy who was always like the nervous guy, and he was always like, he was basically the con artist. And then you had Neal McDonough, who just comes in and just has a little pop-up gun on his sleeve that shoots people.
Let's talk a minute about side characters because there's two I want to talk about. The first one I want to talk about is the one that
Bigfoot.
No, Bigfoot. I want to close with Bigfoot because that's going to be fun to talk about. Was it Armand, the Joe Pesci kind of wannabe?
Armand, yes,
the one he kind of strong on to work with him. He shows up at the place kind of half drunk. And he's like, take him home, Bigfoot and all that because he's embarrassing him. That's going to be a problem.
Well, more than just drunk, he actually rear ends the car in front of him.
Yes,
he pulls in and he hits it, and then he starts getting go. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs because not only do I got to pay you money, and I got to pay my wife. My wife left me with the kids, and I got to pay child money and all that stuff. And it's like, and I'm thinking like, so you show up drunk? Apparently, you have money for booze.
Well, let me ask you a question about his character because there's a lot of characters.
I don't trust him. He's the weakest link. I think he's going to be the one that's going to end up
right.
Coffee.
That was kind of where I was going with it because it's like, do we give a fuck about this guy? I don't. I'm getting kill him vibes. Get rid of him.
Yeah.
Let him die. I don't. There's nothing about him. I feel it's struggling. It's a little different with the few episodes when he was mowing the lawn and the guy shitting on his lawn and he was trying to be cool and had a talk when he was struggling with trying to have a normal life with his wife. That was interesting. This is not interesting for him, even as a side character.
And as that, I mean, a lot of the characters have actually had a lot of character growth. The driver for him.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look up his name. I apologize for not.
That's Driver. And he even mentions his driver's dad, who we don't see, but we saw him a couple times in a few.
It's not his name. His name isn't just Driver. That's.
It's good enough for now until you know what it is, sir. We go by functionality here. Form follows function, or function follows form. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because when you're watching it, I think the one thing you said at the beginning is 100% true and really great example to kind of contrast against some of the ups or downs I thought that the old man had is that it flows. This is tight, it moves well, and it felt like it was only 20, 30 minutes. You're getting in the episode, and the credits are rolling. I mean, that's what it felt like watching the episode. And to me, that's something that's done. Not only is it shot well, it's
all right.
Got a nice, easy sense to it and everything, and you're reminded briefly of who these characters are, where they're at, and whether or not we should care.
Jay Will, he plays Tyson. Tyson is the driver. It always works for him. He's awesome. He's got some character growth. He's basically, originally his dad didn't like him. He was working with him. I'm not sure if his dad's gonna be back in this season. They don't really mention him. They mention him a little bit.
They mention, but they don't show him. You're right.
Yeah, but I think he's probably might be done. Martin Starr plays the druggie, the guy, the weed guy, Bodie.
Okay.
Great in this. I love Bodie's character in this.
He's got more to him than what they're showing.
Yes,
I think.
Yes. We also have Grace and Clint. Those are the two. They work for Bodie. Grace, he makes when she's at the shop. When he comes in, he says like, "Wow, you're very confident, very cool, collected."
Yes.
No, the scared girl. He's like, she's like, she's like. So basically, working with Dwight is basically she's got over her nervousness, and she's got character growth. Mitch Keller, he basically is the bartender. Is just every time I see him, he's with Dwight. It's like watching. It reminds me of Expendables. It's like having Jason Statham walk in next to Stallone. I love it every time. Domenick, Lombardozzi, Charles Chicky, Intervezzi, or Invernizzi, whatever. Yeah, he's another scene stealer. These are big heavies in here. Andrea Savage plays Stacy. She's the FBI over there. She's kind of a weakest link right now. She doesn't really do much. She's just basically a scaredy cat in this.
She's kind of crazy hot. I think she's gonna snap.
Oh yeah.
Not him, but just I think she's gonna feel like, hey, these guys are fucking me. How can I get back at them? That could be interesting.
I mean, yeah. And then you brought up the prison scene when they're in the prison. It's all the guy with the windmill scheme, and he was in it. So he's like, basically, he says, go. After Stallone gets out of the lockup, he goes back. He's like, hey, this guy told me about how he can make money off, the government and whatever call it incentives. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of windmills just out there right now that no one's using. Right. How about we use that? We can power the weed farm. We can grow that more. It's like we can cut costs. It's like more money for everybody. It's like So Dwight's like, it's like Dwight is a very smart guy, and they always give him like, because he looks like a heavy, he looks like a goon. So it's like if you took Rocky, instead of going to boxing, he became a gangster.
Well, he starts quoting like Oscar Wilde, which is always interesting, and stuff that's not in his character. And that's when you see Stallone kind of creep out of the character. I don't mind it, but
no,
it's like what? Okay.
And it's more he's in a lockup. The poem he read wasn't that a very good poem, but he was deep. And like, what would you do for 25 years? Manfredi's, he's smart, but he's also kind of like got his own class of smart. He's street smart. He's not culture smart. Yeah.
Right.
So when he starts quoting those poems the other guy did, and he's like, it comes off because Tyson's like, what the fuck? I don't know what that means. He's like, and he explains it through him. He's like, whatever, Mm-hmm. So like I said, it fits him. It's not really Stallone to me. It's more of it's the character itself,
Right.
But I can see why you might think it's Stallone, because Stallone does joke a little bit here and there. He's always been known for that behind the scenes, but overall, very, very fun episode. I'm looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be awesome. We got 2 shows we're doing right now. Where we just did the 2 episodes of The Old Man on Sunday, which is very fun. Really addicted to that show again. This is piquing my interest. They're not really the same, but they all are similar as far as the acting goes. It's superb. It's believable. And it's just enjoyable. You're having fun. This is a little more fast-paced, a little more light humor with a little bit of violence sometimes, where The Old Man is a straight-up drama, but it has violence too. So honestly, I'm happy that we're actually covering both these shows, because it's been a while. Because we always talk about what is there to watch on TV. There really isn't anything right now. And the show that Pixel and I review over on the Geeky Puppet Show, it's called Resident Alien.
Right.
I just learned yesterday that show got moved off of Sci-Fi and it's going over to USA now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that's going to affect that show, but that's supposed to come out around like January of next year. So that's another thing. It's like, well, because when a show changes a channel, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. Now back in the day, Sci-Fi was the number one place to go for sci-fi stuff, but no one really cares about sci-fi because sci-fi shit shows now. And if you're used to watching that show on Sci-Fi, now Sci-Fi has nobody watching it.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, and it's changed obviously, but you're right.
With the USA also having SmackDown on it, it's gonna be interesting to see what the lineup is gonna be for USA, because USA is on a channel I usually go to watch, But anyway, but that's another whole other thing. But if you guys are looking for something to watch, I do recommend checking out the first season of this show if you haven't done so, so you don't really spoil anything. And if you haven't listened to us talk about this, you're watching a review about an episode a show you've watched. That's on you. But overall,
I'm talking to a couple of Tyler Sheridan fans, and the general consensus for me is that the one or two shows of his I've tried, I get he's trying to do a lot, and he's ambitious, and he has these plot lines and stuff, and he modernizes like a Western, which is a cool concept. Like, this is cool that it's in Tulsa, right? And like you said, Stallone in Tulsa. Oh my God, really? It's intriguing. But the thing is I've always said before, while there's people that've got their good sides, their bad sides, their dark sides, whatever you want to call them, and they're adults, I do appreciate most of the people in here do seem like adults. I just wasn't vibing around a specific character or two, or why I liked them in early on. So to me, I could get 4 or 5, 6 episodes in and go, yeah, who am I rooting for? Who do I really want to watch get it? And then here, admittedly, the only reason why I gave this a shot was because Stallone's in it. I fully admit that. So you don't have to be a fan of his, I think, to enjoy it. If you like the other shows, I think you will enjoy this. And everyone says, yeah, he pretty much does the same show. It's just he changes location. He might have some different characters, but the way he does it with the different plot lines and stuff is his thing. That's his bag, baby. That's the way he does it. And so, this is probably my more entertaining example out of the others that I've watched. There's a little bit of humor in there. I think Stallone's in on it. I think he gets it, and I think he's having fun with it. And I think that makes it watchable to me, because all the other characters, while they do a great job in their role, they're pretty much forgettable to me about it. And again, the show pivots around him. It doesn't really fluctuate to the other characters, just sort of there. And that's the right thing to do because it's Stallone. And so I do appreciate that from him. So it's entertaining enough. It's worth watching. There's definitely worse out there.
Yep.
All right. So we've got a poll, I believe, that's getting ready to go live. If it's not already, you want to plug that, sir?
It'll be going up in a minute. So I'm still working on it right now, grabbing movies. So
we're going back to the 90s on this poll, and I think we're having at least the 3 I mentioned earlier, correct?
I changed already one of them, so.
Because I'm not doing too much Kurt Russell, sir.
Well, no, Soldier sucks ass. I'm not reviewing that because I will have nothing good to say about that movie.
Watch out, the fans vote on that. Wow.
No, I'm giving him.
You're going to say Gattaca sucks out of the 90s when it's one of the best movies of the whole decade.
I'm giving you guys a better movie. Giving you Executive Decision.
Okay, what are the movies that are going to be on the poll?
Oh, I got Stargate. I got Stargate and Executive Decision so far.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking probably throwing in maybe a Western in there.
See, I went B-level movies, so that's why I went with Soldier, Tremors, and the other one.
Well, if you want B-level movies or just Westerns in general, I have Maverick, Tombstone, Young Guns, or Westerns. Or if you want to do another B-level movie,
90s B movies.
These are all 90s B movies. I'm not.
Stargate was the other one I had.
Yep, Stargate's in there.
Okay.
There's also In the Line of Fire, Clint Eastwood.
That's not a B movie though.
Is it though?
No, it's not. It's pretty good.
It kind of is.
It's not.
Compared to Tremors, more people know Tremors.
Tremors is a cult. I was going for cult campy B level stuff that you would find in your grocers mark to rent out, not just Blockbuster video news.
If you want to see ones you find in your grocery marts, that'd be the net.
That's true, but I was saving the computer espionage stuff for some other time because I wanted to go back to B-level campiness. It's the fall season. I'm starting to turn into monsters and animals in attack mode here, and I can't wait to do some blood and guts.
All right, here's another Kurt Russell movie: Escape from L.A. or Backdraft.
We'd have to. They're both cheesy. Well, really, Escape from LA is cheesy. But whatever.
Entry.
I was trying to keep it not Kurt Russell free, but I don't want Kurt Russell to be in all the movies. Otherwise, I'd be a Kurt Russell 90s exposition. And I realized after I submitted those that's kind of how it was turning into. It's like, damn it, my subconscious bias is affecting me in the poll. And that's okay.
We've already reviewed Breakdown on the channel, but we have there's Backdraft, Another one. Unlawful Entry with Ray Liotta.
That's a fun one. That's cute.
Yeah. Captain Ron.
I wanted Psycho Wants to be another one. So, like I said, I was going for B-level campy action. Executive Decision's a fun movie.
It is a fun movie. So I'm looking at that. Like I said, I'm still looking as far as when it comes to things.
Polls up, guys. Vote.
It'll be up in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab one.
And then we'll be resuming our Columbo review next week, too. We're going to go with the old man, probably. It looks like live as well on Sunday, so there'll be a few extra notes on that, links and everything. So look for that. It's going to be a three-fer on Sunday night coming up, too. And then we'll continue Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 2 next week, same time here. Anything else you need to plug, RDV?
Nothing much. Just other than that, go vote in the poll. It'll be up in his minute.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Listen, everybody, you know we exist. We really appreciate you spending time with us. That does mean a lot. We have a lot of fun with this. And as usual, for RDV and Professor Pixel, everybody involved here in the Extreme Movie Show, including Max and Daisy, my German Shepherd, Czechoslovakian Shorthead, non-working line Reds. The patroller ground keeps us safe to allow us to kind of ramble on about these kinds of fun things with movies and TV. I appreciate having them around here, too. They're both asleep right next to me here by the fireplace in Central Florida, and it's a balmy 80 degrees. What's the temperature where you're at, sir, in Wisconsin?
Oh, where I am right now, it is 72 outside.
That's warm for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's also dark now, too. It gets dark by almost 4 to 7. It's crazy. We're entering into fall, bro.
It's only going to be 88 tomorrow here, I think. Good night now.
Have a night, everybody. And the poll will be up in a minute. Later, guys.